Okay, so here's why I left the curtain panel tied, because you just move and this silk comes apart. So I have an event to go to, and this is a great time to repurpose these curtains because I've been wanting to do it for a long time. And the event is a celebration of my book launch. And so these panels are the perfect color to go along with that. And it's nice to be able to repurpose them into something swishy and beautiful. My goal is to be as efficient with this fabric as possible. This is really thin silk, very fine, and so I wanted to leave the lining as it was and not undo and tear and rip it, so that's why I chose to do that. So let me show you a little bit. So this was one silk curtain panel that already had a cotton lining, and I tried to leave the seams as they were as much as possible. I have two edges of the skirt panels that are unfinished. The rest of them are all unfinished with a finished seam. I want the zipper to go into this one so it's nice and neat on the seams and it's an easy sew. All right, so this is the two finished seams from the panel, and you can see like this is where the curtain panel is already finished here. Now I'm gonna put a nice big piece of gold hem tape here, so a lot of this will get cut off or folded up, but little details like that are really important. So let's iron this out. This is where the zipper will go eventually. I'm following the closet historian's method of sewing it with a larger stitch length here, and then I'll just seam rip it open when I'm done. That way I can make sure the other side's good. But we're gonna go with the invisible zipper here. So that'll go in there. I'll seam rip that open once I get my waistband figured out. I did not, in fact, follow what I said I was going to do, which is a theme for this video. All right, so now the question is, because I was short on fabric, I didn't piece together that little section or that one. And it looks like this will fit fine, but oh. Make the waistband to my waist measurement, gather if I need to, sew it on. Put the zipper in, and then we're gonna hem it, and I'm hemming with the most beautiful, contrasting slub silk that I have left over from our project. So that when I twirl, we got a little nice big hem facing. All right, we're gonna let that hang while I take care of some other things. But isn't that just a gorgeous crimson silk? It makes me like, wait a minute. When you fold it over, Olivia, this will get attached and fold over. It's fine. It'll just be a narrow waistband, not a wide one. I'm a writer and a reader. I'm not a mathematician. So I wanted my waistband to be 2 inches, which means it needs to be 2 plus 2 plus another inch. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus that's 5. What did I cut it? 3. So now I have a narrow waistband. I have enough if I want to redo it, but I don't want to waste it. So we're gonna make it work. Let me show you. Look at how badly this silk is fraying. I've got to get this waistband on. Whew. It's on. Should I have finished these seams first? Yes. Did I? No. Yeah, my order of operations is off. It's been a minute since I made a skirt. I even thought about it today. Do the seams first, finish, then put the waistband on. I'm afraid. I think I'm going to just hand sew, because this is so thick it didn't want to go through. I'm going to hand sew up to here on both sides, and then if I want, I could put a hook and eye here, or like I said, I got these on purpose because they will cover that area. Maybe I should start with the dishes. Oh wait, there's actually clean dishes too. So, this is the situation. Happy New Year. Back working on the skirt over hand sewing, not my forte. Of course, it does require practice, but we'll see how it goes. Like this, and then just doing a running back stitch. Now, I mean, I could have folded it over, but I didn't want to sew through all layers for the outside. So this is just to keep the edges under control, and they should be fine. This is where we're at. I forgot to film it because I was in the zone, but basically I took painstaking time and was a floor goblin, gremlin, goblin, golem, whatever, and marked out my hem. So now I'm going to even it up with the scissors. We're making it 31.5 inches with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, so then I can add the nice thick silk. All right, let's do it. Dun, 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 dun. I kind of want to go to the other side and pull from that side. That's better. Oh yeah. No joke. You gotta have good scissors for fabric and don't use them for anything else.
I don't cut scissors. I am in shape. Maybe not like I was when I played in college, but I'm okay. Beautiful. Snug. Gorgeous.
All right. All in all, I think pretty successful. Whew. Some other news. For my little patch areas, little triangles, I'm gonna have 2 of them. They're gonna be on the sides, and I've decided to bedazzle them, but with like Austrian crystals, and I got some nice ones, and a little beading gun, which I've never used. So basically it's like bedazzling for adults. So let me show you the colors, I think what I'm going with. Here's the color of the skirt, the patch. So these will be placed on here in kind of a cute sort of like, imagine raspberry champagne, sparkling champagne, and all these colors. So they'll give a little glint, but they won't call out the area, which should be nice. Let's have a moment for my brain this week after last week's intensity. I just don't know why it's so hard to put everything up right now. It'll get done when I'm rested. It is now January 1st of 2024. What have I learned about this so far? If you think you need to patch something, patch it. If that little voice in your head and in your gut says, maybe I should just do that now, do it. So basically I'm gonna cut this to size, make a little patch, and I'll fold the edges and everything, and then I will stitch around it and do some decorative stitching so that all 4 seams will have this sort of pretty sort of cornice kind of detail. It'll hide the lining and this here, and I do have it on the other side because I was just short because of the way that I laid out the pattern pieces. So I found these beautiful little beauties at the thrift store in a packet of like 20 sets for $3. I don't know how old they are, but they're definitely vintage. Point is, and then I'll close here. Yeah, I could have a hook and eye, but this just makes me happier. Okay, let's talk about bias. On the bias, what does that mean? Because I made bias tape to go around my circle skirt. Anytime you're going around a round edge, fabric that doesn't stretch on a round edge causes that round edge to pucker and it doesn't fold over nicely. So you have to cut the fabric that you're using to bind the edge on the bias, or a 45-degree angle. So I have the silk fabric here just as an example. Basically, you'll know this when you look at your fabric, and I'm trying to pull it this way, and you can hear that. No stretch. It's also not stretchy, 90 degrees. But if I go bias, the bias is gonna be at the 45. So when you are cutting strips to make bias tape, I cut them along here. That way, when I can stretch them around a curve. Bias tape has been made. A lot of bias tape. So here's a close-up. Ouch, pins. All right. Sew it here, and we'll flip it, and then we'll curl it under again on the inside, and I'll show you that process. But let's pin without stabbing my foot. All right, here we go. This was a beast to pin, but it's pinned. It's ready to go. On the seams, we're gonna take time after I shower. So what I'll do, we've attached the facing. So now we're gonna iron this so that it goes up into, or actually it goes into the seam. This will get turned over, and then we either do a blind hem and only hand sew to the lining, or we stitch, but it'll go stitch all the way through to the silk. Where we're at so far, so it's pinned, and the length is great. The back is slightly longer than the front, and let's get this hem done, and we'll move forward. Oh, just love this silk, and it's even more swishy since it has that extra weight now added. If you make clothing, a wide hem really just, and lining the silk, that's even better. All right, I've made an executive decision to save my neck and therefore pain by going ahead and loosely stitching with the sewing machine the hem. I don't have the fine motor skills or the practice enough to whip stitch the hem by hand and catch only the lining without, one, breaking my brain, two, probably having a massive pressure in my neck and head. So we're gonna be good to my neck and my body, and this is a health decision. So here's a tip. Be sure your bobbin has all the thread it needs so you can make it all the way around these giant circle skirts, because it feels crappy to get all the way around and realize your bottom bobbin thread was empty. So that's first things first. We're good to go. We have plenty on this bobbin to get around skirt. So. The hem facing's done. One thing I have also learned in my sewing journey is you've got to work with a fabric. If it is just wanting to be pleated because it's on the bias and you're trying to put a rectangle on a circle, then pleat it, and do it if you can in a nice way. All right, so this is the back seam, and I had to pleat some of the extra. It doesn't look too bad, so see, this is where we're at here. Look, you can see the original seam from the curtain panel. It is. So yeah, there is my hem facing. I'm super excited about this finish. So now, I'm just gonna say that I have a very strong tendency to make the sparkles even though I like them being random. All right, we have patches. I didn't film it, but basically I measured the patch, cut it out of silk, I folded over the edges and gave it an inseam and measured and cleaned it up, and then I put a backing on it for stability. And now this is gonna get sewn onto the area that needs the patch, and then it's bedazzle time and finishing time. So, yay. not gonna lie, that was a little stressful to sew on the patches. And so let me show you what it is because I was not about to set up to film it. Whatnot. So could I have been a little closer here? Yes, but you know, all things considered, not too shabby. Here's the other one. So we'll get these finished. All right, let's do some finishing on this skirt. So we have to add the clasp, then we have to sew in and reinforce the zipper. We have to weave in some ends, and then I want to tack down the patches so that then I can start to bedazzle. And I hope you understood all of that. So let's get to some hand sewing. It is wearable and there's a clasp. These are rhinestones. This is a bedazzler. Apparently I have to put the rhinestones in the pattern I want, and then I take this hot fix tool and I press it on there and it melts the glue on the back. So, wish me luck. Let's do it. We're starting with the big rhinestones first. We're placing the big ones, and then we've sorted this medium. So my goal is to use all of these on the 2 patches. I can look at a very long document and scan it quickly, but the process of placing rhinestones tests my patience in a way that I cannot quite verbalize. I want it to be sparkly, so I'm going to meditate and breathe through it. We'll see on the other side. The lawyer part of my brain fighting with the creative part of my brain. So we might have to remedy that a little bit and allow the creative part to flow and the lawyer to let go.